All right, and welcome, traders. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to you, depending, of course, on wherever you're joining us from in the world. Welcome to the Trading Battle number 36. I'm your host, Christopher Guzman. I'm the founder, CEO, and head trader of Kickstart Trading. We educate, coach, and fund traders. So come and check us out at www.kickstarttrading.com. We've got a fantastic battle plan for you today. Lots going on in the markets. And so let's see what our two contestants can do. Speaking of our two contestants, let's go ahead and meet them. First up in corner number one, we've got Tim from Volatility Trading. Good afternoon, Tim.
Good afternoon. Good evening. Good morning.
Good.
Wherever.
Indeed. Tim, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and just, let the audience know who you are.
Sure. My name's Tim. Over at Volatility Trading, have the YouTube channel over there. Been trading. I trade equities primarily. That's actually all I trade. I tend to just kind of trade the volatility of the opening bell up until about lunchtime. I've been doing it for about 3.5 years now. And, being honest, it wasn't profitable the first two. Finally found my edge and started to perfect it. And here we are.
Fantastic. Honesty is the best policy, Tim, so we appreciate that.
Yeah, of course.
In our other corner. Say again?
So you won't find a more honest guy. It's kind of what my whole journey's been based on.
Excellent. Well, it's great to meet you, Tim. In the other corner, we've got Simon Massey from Funded Trading Plus. Good afternoon, Simon.
Good afternoon. How are you?
I'm okay, thanks. How are you?
I'm good. Well, in contrast to Tim's honesty, I'm going to be thoroughly dishonest and say I'm a multi-billionaire and I'm trading from my yacht right now. In fact, I'm on the beach, but I'm not allowed to shut up for very long. This is going to crash the stream, so I'm going to keep it on the static background.
Very nice. Simon, why don't you give us a little bit about yourself, mate, and tell us.
Yeah, I've been trading for a while, about 10, 11 years now. I tend to focus on the indices, particularly the US ones. They're my favorite, and I also hate getting up in mornings. So the 5 hours behind of New York Eastern time is absolutely wonderful for me as well.
Fair
But
enough.
I own TradeRoom Plus and Funded Trading Plus. We do trade education and also fund talented traders as well. So I just like to be in the mix. I'm pretty similar to Tim. I prefer to trade the opening hour, and that's not really because it's the best opportunities, because I've got the attention span of a small child. So I tend to switch off after about an hour. So yeah, we'll see what happens today. Markets are moving pretty well.
Excellent. Well, it's great to meet you both. Good luck to you both. Let's have a fantastic battle. Before we jump into the challenges, I just want to make note for our audience members. About 2 weeks ago, our sponsor 8Cap held a giveaway in which they're giving away a $500 trading account. We are going to be announcing the winners here, but don't worry if you didn't win. We're going to have another giveaway on our Instagram, so make sure to come in and follow us on Instagram. Okay, so let's have a look. We're going to see now. All right, and the winner. Help me out, producers. The winner is Osama et Biga. Apologies if I've not pronounced that correctly, but congratulations to you. You have won 8Cap's $500 account giveaway, so fantastic. All right, are we ready to jump into challenges?
We are, yeah. Can the markets go back 10 minutes, please? They're all moving now.
Yeah,
slow down. I want to get on board. I'm desperate to get on board of this upside, but I'm going to have to chase now. I don't care. I'll do it.
It's going to make for an interesting battle, because I'm thinking quite the opposite.
Yeah, I need to look.
Yeah.
It'll certainly be interesting. Let's see what you guys can do. Let's see what you're made of. For challenge number one, we are going to have you guys trade the market open with your best stock, or in your case, Simon, your best index, right? So, Simon, do you want to start?
I do, yeah, please. So here on the S&P 500, this S&P cash, it's not the futures. We have this daily low down here at 4164, and I was looking for a retest. Oh, back on screen now. Great. This low down here at 4164, I was looking for a retest and a break back into range. So if we just dip down to the hourly time frame, we can see that we've got this pin bar candle here. So my intention was to take a break of the long. Obviously, that's happened before we started, but I'm going to chase the market. That's what we do. So I'm going to get onto the S&P here. Just make that big on MetaTrader using one of our nice tools. So yeah, we're gonna get long there on the S&P if it allows me. I didn't actually take a test trade earlier, so hopefully that's going to let me get long. There we go. We're in the market now, so we'll see what the S&P does. We've got stops back in this cluster. Ideally, probably want stops a bit lower, but I don't want to run a huge stop. So we're going to see if we continue to retrace. Just very, very briefly, I'd probably pull a Fibonacci retracement here as well, just to see where we have some logical targets, because I have 3 positions. So I'm going to put one target at the 38.2, brand new account, which is asking for that. One at the 50%, and one at the 61.8 retracement as well. I'm a big fan of Fib retracement. So we're going to try and get a little bit of profit off at the 38.2, a little bit of profit off at the 50%, a little bit of profit at the 61.8, should this market continue to rally. So that's my initial trade. I'm chasing it a little bit, but it's one of those things. We'll see if we continue to make some highs.
Where would your ideal entry have been, just for the audience?
My deal entry would have been a break back above this level. So if I come into an even shorter term time frame, we're just going to a 5 minute here. Mm-hmm. So what we can see here is that previous level of support. So that support broke, it then became resistance, and then it broke back above. So my ideal entry would either be taking a more aggressive preemptive trade here, or it would be taking a trade on the break of the high. So it'd be one of those entries, really. I mean, if you're on a 5 minute scalper, then you could have potentially taken a break long, put your stop below just this candle here, and then you're probably out of a good risk-reward ratio. What we may see is this market come up, retest this. So we had a previous resistance there. I've drawn the wrong thing, and that may become support. Confused myself there. So what we may see is this pattern here. We may see a retest, confirmation of this dynamic change, and then we may see some upside. I've managed to buy perfectly at the high of this candle as well, which is fantastic trading. So I'm going to show you all how to turn a large account into a small account by the end of this session, which is the Retail Trader Masterclass.
Well done, Simon. Well done.
Thank you. Never to be invited on again.
I'm going to get to you, Tim, but just very quickly, Simon, you gave a purely technical justification for your trade. I'm just curious, just a quick yes or no. Are you paying attention to the fundamentals out there at the moment?
Not on this time frame, no.
No. Okay.
No.
Put a pin in that, because I'd like to discuss that with you a bit further.
Perfect.
We'll come back, though. Let's give Tim a chance. Tim, what's your best stock?
Well, I've been looking at Tesla. It tends to move with the spider, which is pretty much the index for the most part of the overall market. And so I actually missed my trade. Where Simon actually bought in is where I would have looked to start a position short. And the theory behind that is, if we go back over to the SPY real quick, you'll see that we have this gap from the after hours on, was it yesterday? For some reason, I'm thinking it's Monday. And we came down all the way down here to 410. Usually the markets like to fill gaps. And so it's pretty typical after a big drop or a big spike. Either way, I have a pretty commonality that I use. The faster the move, the weaker the trend. So when you get a pretty fast move one way, you're usually going to try to bounce the other way. And that's typically what I look to capitalize on. And I am more of a short-term trader. Talking sometimes I have trades that are only 6 seconds. I wouldn't necessarily say I'm a scalper, but if the opportunity works that quick, then I'll take it. So coming up
6 seconds.
Oh yeah. There's some very, very volatile stocks that will spike up very fast, and they will retrace very fast. And if you can capitalize on that move, then yeah, it's really nice when it happens. Typically, trades will last between 2 to 5 minutes, sometimes even longer. But you're not a scalper. I don't classify myself as a scalper, but like I said, Tesla, I mean, just to show you, Tesla would have been a perfect opportunity, because I was watching this kind of move as you were talking to Simon, and it pretty clearly started to run into some resistance here just from watching the price action.
Sure. And
that would have been a perfect entry. And we're only 4 minutes past that, and we've dropped a good, 12, 13 points. So as far as the trade, I guess this is where you'd want me to put in a trade. It's kind of tough for me to put a short in here, but I do think that we already tried to fill that gap looking over at the SPY, I'm to check it one more time. We got pretty close. And I think over the rest of the day, just with the negative news going on with Russia and Ukraine, all that good stuff, I think this was more of just a relief bounce based off of the big drop. But I do think we're probably going to end up continuing to the downside. I think it's just a matter of just letting the market kind of work itself out here at the open.
Okay. So what are you going to do with Tesla?
Yeah, I'm gonna let me pull over. I have like 3 different screens, so I gotta show you the right one here so I can get you. There we go. So I'm gonna go ahead and place a short. I like to scale into positions as well. So that way, if they kind of continue against me, I'll have an opportunity to kind of scale into a position and because in this case, if I would have started it up here at 775 around that area, if it wanted to continue up into these key areas, I would look to add into my position there, looking for that reversal. So I'll go ahead and start a position here, just a small starter in Tesla. Yep, new account. Let's see if it lets me. And there we go. So that'll be my starter position. I'd be looking for this to come back down towards the lows. But probably going to run into some issues around the 725 area on Tesla, just because there was a lot of consolidation here in the pre-market. But ideally, I would at least be looking for a retest of those areas.
Okay, fantastic. I drove a Tesla for the first time the other day. You wouldn't think it would have taken me this long to get behind the wheel of a Tesla, but wow, it was pretty
nice.
Impressive.
I just realized I was sharing the wrong screen while I was talking about that.
Excellent. Thanks, guys. So obviously, the big story in the news today, of course, is the unfortunate events going on with Russia and Ukraine. I said put a pin in that fundamental discussion, but before we move on to challenge number 2, I want to just circle back around and get your thoughts on that. Simon, what's your outlook for the effect of the war on the markets?
Yeah, I mean it's a tricky one. I mean it's not. I mean I guess the degree of aggression that's been shown over the past 24 hours is quite a surprise. And of course you've got the ancillary fallout of the energy prices. We're not talking about energy today, but of course that affects a lot of stocks, from everything from airlines who have to buy oil to energy companies. Russia's obviously got a very significant global hold on oil and gas, and then of course we're going to be doing retaliatory sanctions that haven't been fully announced yet. So it's just everyone loses type situation, as often is with the horrors of war or potential war as well. But it's a really tricky one, because at the same time the markets are outrageously resilient, and we've seen that time and time again. I mean, let's look at the Nasdaq on a sort of monthly time frame, and every time, I mean, this is more of a rollover, but certainly since the pandemic, the Nasdaq has just been the old. I've got a sad face on for the S&P. That'll make sense in a moment. But that's actually on top of the S&P now. So hopefully it'll change to a smiley face.
That's the best technical indicator I've ever seen.
That is. That's my emotional journey right now. But so we've sort of got an arrow straight sort of move up, and it's the market can stay irrational longer and you can stay solvent. The overall trend is your friend. I mean, these 2 months look particularly bearish in that respect, and I think I just tried to let the market tell me what it wants to do rather than trying to guess things. I mean, we all started off trying to trade news, didn't we? And it's like, the NFP is a really high figure. Why is the market going down? The NFP is really low figure. Why is it going up? And you quickly learn that relatively short term that we're talking about here, hours, days. I don't think fundamental considerations are as important, but it's whatever goes into an individual's decision-making pot. For me, it doesn't really interest me, but for others, it may well be important. I mean, I'm fundamentally picked the top of this market here, I can tell you that, but but we'll see. Stop loss. I'm gonna do the amateur thing and move my stop. No, I'm not really. So we'll see what happens, but there may be a shorting opportunity at some point.
Excellent. Okay, Tim, what about you? What are your thoughts on how what's going on will affect the markets?
I think we've already kind of seen it. Taking a look over at the SPY, which is kind of what I use to gauge the overall market. It obviously speaks volume. Just seeing what the news did, to go to bed last night and then to wake up this morning to the news and then see the markets down. Clearly, it creates some volatility here in the U.S. market. So. Typically, that's a really good thing for me, because that's what I'm looking for, is volatility. But there are some times where that volatility to the downside creates a lot of people, it creates the emotion, the fear emotion, and a lot of people don't like to participate in that. So that is typically what I'm looking for in the market, is looking for, that euphoria or that fear. But when you have a big news event like that, a lot of people like to kind of stay away and let the market, like Simon was saying, to kind of decide what it's going to do on its own.
Yeah.
So in a way, it does create volatility, but for me, as the way that I trade, sometimes it's not the right kind of volatility. So I like it, but at the same time, it is very dependent on the overall situation. And with the markets, they were already kind of in, a downtrend. They were starting a downtrend.
Yeah.
And so to have this news come out during that, it just kind of makes a little bit, it's more of a follow the trend type crowd, and it looks to be to the short side at the moment.
Absolutely. Well, our obviously it goes without saying, our thoughts and prayers are with everyone affected, everyone involved.
For sure.
All right, guys, let's move on to challenge number 2. You ready?
Yeah.
Sure.
Let's do it. All right, challenge number 2. For challenge number 2, I want you guys to trade a stock that you would have loved to get on IPO. So first off, obviously, share what stock you're looking at. And then if you would just, share a few thoughts as to why. Tim, do you want to start with you?
Sure. I just realized that I kind of contradicted my first trade, but it would have been Tesla. So I'm currently short Tesla. So it kind of defeats the purpose of saying I would want to go long Tesla at this point. But I mean, what more can you ask for? I mean, if we go to the daily chart on Tesla and kind of go back to its IPO, you'll see that if we just draw like a nice line here, it was down. This is obviously post split, but $79, for the longest time. And, we went all the way up to almost $12.50 in the matter of 2 years. So obviously it was a lot of skeptical information. Are we going to actually start going the EV route? The big gas giants, the big oil giants, will they allow it to happen this time around? Because we all remember the first time around, all those cars ended up in the desert. So this time around, I guess with, the earth kind of, everyone's saying, global warming, it started to kind of snowball, and they're like, okay, maybe we do have to go this route. And once that word kind of got out, I mean, Tesla pretty much was a rocket ship at that point. And quite literally, with Elon and SpaceX and just a lot going on, Tesla sort of, was in the meme craze as well. So anytime you can get the hype around any individual name, especially in a good way, especially for like people noticing that the future of, EV, just the owner of Tesla being Elon, and, the influence that he has, you kind of get that, I don't want to use the word cult, but I guess there's really no other way to put it. But you get that following, that influential following behind you, and it can really take a ticker off. So I don't know what you would want me to do here, but it would be Tesla. That would definitely be my pick. But currently, the way that we're trading, I would definitely, want to be short in the stock, but maybe like a hypothetical trade to the long side as far as the IPO of Tesla.
Well,
that work? I mean, I
could
pick another ticker.
If you do that, you can't lose, can you?
That's true. Just kind of hedge my short. Yeah, that is true.
It's a smart strategy. I like it.
I mean, if you want me to, I will.
Excellent. Okay, so you're going to go long Tesla. So you're both long and short Tesla. I suppose obviously one is the short-term view, the other is long-term.
Correct. Yeah. If I could go back to the IPO, I would definitely be long Tesla. And I actually am long certain stocks in my long-term portfolio that I do short, when they make moves to the upside. So it's not abnormal. Obviously they're two different accounts as well, so it's a little bit easier to deal with. But yeah, it's not atypical for someone to do that, because intraday moves are way different than, obviously, you're talking years as far for a long-term trade.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I do something similar all the time on the Forex side. So yeah, absolutely. Simon,
hello.
What about you, my friend?
I think, Tesla's obviously Microsoft in 1980. No, Apple in 1980. That's 4 years before I was born. I wish I got long. Yeah, I actually.
So if only you were alive, you would have gone long.
Exactly, I'd have bought into Apple. I'd have been Simon Wozniak. So the thing that an IPO I do remember was Facebook. I mean, this hasn't quite got enough data, and I don't actually have it on my chart, so it's a fantastic one to have picked. But I remember it. It went down to, I think, I can't remember what it floated at. Was it 30, 40? It went down to 20, and then it just sort of exploded up. Obviously, Facebook's interesting because tech's so strong at the moment, as money's gone into tech. After with the pandemic, and that's sort of weakening now, and Facebook's obviously had some poor earnings news, hasn't it, as well, whereas in contrast to Google that had some really strong news. So Facebook's obviously looking weak beforehand. We had that big gap. Let me zoom in a little bit here so people can see. We had that. I'm determined to keep this face here. This is what's going to rescue my S&P trade, so I'm not getting rid of it. We had this big gap down here, didn't we? And we are looking pretty weak on Facebook at the moment. I mean, we have had some retracements, but the trend's pretty much down. So I think I'm going to take a short on Facebook with my stop. It was sort of in the body of yesterday's candle, so it's not a particularly large stop, but I'm going to get some profit targets down at 189, 184, and 179. So I'm going to take that trade there. Hopefully it'll execute. Do I have to press it twice? Just like a little thing. There we go. Just to make sure I'm sure. It's like 90% of your trades are a mistake, so you need to be sure. That's what this plugin does. You see, it's a customized plugin to try and make it a bit more idiot-proof. But so we'll see. Yeah, I mean, to a degree, a little bit of a hedge. I mean, if we see index downside, it's probably going to happen together. So Facebook will probably go down. Facebook's underperforming. I just wonder how we're going to trend today. I mean, I'm looking at the DAX here, the European stock market, the German stock market, I beg your pardon. And I'm just curious to see if that's going to, it's quite sideways. So I wonder if that's what's going to happen with the US session as well. A bit disappointed the S&P's not held this trend line, but we'll see what happens. So yeah, I'm going to take a short on Facebook and hopefully cancel out this S&P disaster.
Okay. Excellent. Kate has a great question. It's kind of along the lines of what we touched on, but it's put in a really good way. So I'm going to read it out. She says, "Guys, did your strategy change at all last moment after today's events?" So it's kind of a different spin on what we were talking about. So, is there anything you're doing differently? I guess is another way you could say that, right? Tim, you want to start?
Yeah, sure. For me, no, because every day I know what my edge is. I know that my edge is profitable. So if I wake up one day and my edge is not there, I will, use the term sit on my hands. I just won't trade until that edge presents itself. And I feel that discipline to do so is actually something that is very important. It'll also keep you in check so that you don't take, you're not forcing any trades that you wouldn't normally take. So if you're kind of adapting to something that happened just today and you don't exactly have a strategy for that, it might not pan out too well for you.
I like that. Yeah. So basically let the market come to you versus you always trying to chase after the market, essentially.
100%.
Nice. I like it. Very nice. Simon, what about you?
I think for me, it's a case of, hang on, I've got some chickens. I think there is some relevance for the chickens. I think for me, it's just a case of adapting to the volatility. If I'm trying to trade, if I think there's going to be, let's talk about that pin bar earlier on the S&P that's not working very well. Let me give my sad face a second. We'll just have a discussion around that. So, classic pin bar candle here where we have a large wick. I'm going to really zoom into this so people can see it. We have a really large wick. And then, can I make that fatter? I can't. That's a zoom again. Anyway, we have a very large wick. We have that little body here. Then we have a tiny little pin on top, the pin bar. So if we were going to trade the pin bar reversal, we anticipated further upside. We would get long on the break of the top, but then we'd put a stop below the low. So we'd obviously have to make sure that our stop is sufficient distance, and then our risk management was also proportionate to that stop distance. Whereas if this were on a 5-minute time frame, then you'd probably have higher leverage, you'd probably have a tighter stop. So my adaptations would be looking for the same sort of patterns, but on different time frames, and just making sure the stops and limits are appropriately set. And of course, then the risk is divided by the stop. People say, what position size you trade at? It's like, well, it depends on the stop. Always take your position size and divide it by the stop you need. And then you should have a degree of consistency in that respect. So that would be the way I would adapt.
Excellent. That's great. Thank you, guys. All right. Are we ready to go on to strategy number 3?
Sure.
Sorry, challenge number 3. Challenge number 3.
You knew what you meant.
Yeah,
Sure.
there you go. You knew what I meant. Just making sure you guys are still awake. For I almost did it again. Look at that. For challenge number 3, we want you to trade your best picks for the week ahead. Okay, so looking out to next week, what do you got? What's lining up? What's the best you've got for the week ahead? Simon, we'll start with you.
I'm just going to continue on this catching a falling knife theme today. So I'm going to look to buy up the Nasdaq, because every time we go back to the pandemic, which was this here. I mean, that was insane when it was happening. All of us who were trading, but then just look at the recovery. How resilient this market's been. Every time it's pulled back, it's actually moved up. I mean, we are significantly weaker than we have been before. If we look at it relative to that black moving average, we've got the death cross here where it's properly moved over. So I'm just going to zoom in a little bit here to have a look at any justification I can find for getting long. What I would like, if I were going to get long, is probably a retest of this level here with the S1 weekly pivot. And we've nearly closed the gap today on the Nasdaq. That's interesting. So it's just a question of where we're going to go from here. I mean, everything obviously looks short at the moment, but it's boring just to go short. So I think I might just try and get a long here again and just pin that stop over there. And then if we do find a recovery, I'll have a fantastic risk reward, although more likely I'll probably just take a small loss. So we pull a Fibonacci retracement. I'm going all in on this. We'll pull another Fibonacci retracement here. That 50% lines up quite nicely up here. So yeah, I'm just going to probably just prime up a NASDAQ long here. If there's any market that does move and carry on going up, then it is the NASDAQ or the NQ, of course, if you're trading it on the futures. Let me just very quickly try and get that done. Looks like I'm already set up here. 1% risk, amateurs. Let's go 5%. Is that McDonald's? I need a job. I've done it again. So yeah, I'm gonna buy the Nasdaq here if it'll let me. I've probably not got any margin.
Just be consistent, right? If you're gonna do this, just do it consistently.
Exactly. The market's. I'm not wrong. The market is.
Exactly.
Where's history? Well, okay. I would buy the Nasdaq if it would allow me. There's probably some special 3%. All right. I'm gonna get. Well, here we go. It lets me in at 3%. I think I've hit my margin. I'm going to give. Yeah, I'll let you go to Tim. I'm going to try and fix this and see if it'll let me trade.
Excellent. All right. Thanks, Simon. Tim, you're up, my friend.
Yeah,
what
sure.
are you looking at heading into next week?
So I am also kind of looking at the Nasdaq, but
I was going to say don't take Tesla. I'm glad you said that.
No. Yeah, I would typically trade the SPY, but it looks like I can't trade that over here. But so Nasdaq, I mean, it's all the same. They're essentially the same thing. They're all kind of moving together. So I'm going to use the SPY chart just to kind of explain what I'm looking at. So if we scroll out onto the daily here, let me go backwards just a little bit. These DOS charts sometimes are a little finicky. Kind of like Simon said, we do get those big rebounds, but I don't think we're at a point yet, especially with the news, especially since if we scroll back even further, you'll see how sharply the market has went up these past 2 years. Man, it's cooperating, of course, because I'm trying to show you. There we go.
Always away.
So if we go way back, you'll see it's a little bit more of a steady trend line, usually when we go up. And if I draw this line here, you'll kind of see this channel that we were in. And it's more of, I mean, obviously this is a little bit abstract. It's not perfect, but we have a pretty nice trend here, right, to the upside. Even when you have like your big falls right here with, the pandemic right here. And then we had, I forget, I don't even remember what news event this was, but we tend to have that bounce back, the V-shaped recovery. This is a little bit different. I feel like I'm not really a technical guy, but whenever I see like something that looks like this, and then you see like this abnormal move to the upside, it starts to look a little extended. And that's what I look for daily, is an extended move. And I feel like we're in that. And if you come back down to those pre-pandemic levels, you're talking like 340, 350, around there is when we kind of tried to pull back after we made that ridiculous recovery. But then we kept going. It wasn't like, hey, we're back up here, let's kind of chill out for a minute. No, the markets decided to just continue on. And usually when that happens, you're kind of flirting with a little bit of disaster. And I think we're finally, we've had a few times where it tried to break these trend lines to the upside, and we just couldn't do it. And we finally did. And we had a pretty harsh reality when it broke that first time. It did try to bounce back up, retested that same trend line. And then, of course, as we were on the way back down, we get this news about Russia and Ukraine, and it kind of, put us back below that key 420 area that I had been building. So if I scroll back in, make it a little bit easier to see, I really think going ahead that we're not done yet, especially because, again, like I said, I'm not really a technical person, but there is a clear head and shoulders pattern here for people that do trade technicals. And you got a nice left shoulder here, a head, and then we got a right shoulder. And if you follow that pattern at all, you would know that this is going to continue to the downside. And I don't really see any kind of support until sub 400. I mean, you could, argue that there's a little bit here around 403, 404. But the next real level to me is around that 394 area. So with all that said, I'd be looking on the long-term basis, looking, into a week, 2 weeks, maybe even a month. I'd be probably looking to stay short with a stop loss above this key area here around that like 430 area. Because if it gets back up into this range and can hold, it could be like what Simon was saying, where, it always recovers pretty well. But I think it's going to have a real hard time with the current news and world events going on for it to bounce like that, at least for right now. I think it's going to really struggle due to that.
Is this the Simon Says strategy? Can we call it the Simon Says strategy?
I think so far I've been doing the exact opposite of Simon, so I'm not exactly sure how that works.
I've been known to be a reverse. I've been known to be a reverse indicator. So you do right. Although I would. Can we pull up the scoreboard now, just once? Because I'm actually in profit, and then get rid of it when it disappears. I'm massively over leveraged on the Nasdaq, and I've had a bounce. I'm actually in profit.
That's not a bad idea. Producers, can we have a look
give
at
it a scoreboard, and then here we go. Give me some profit, and then disappear when it goes down again, which invariably will. Oh yeah, here we go. $400.
Oh, yeah,
I could buy many chickens for the charity. No scoreboard. All right, just show my screen. I'll show you my profit. Go on, Nasdaq. Let's rally. Let's break that gap close.
All right. Out of curiosity, guys,
the real question is who has the better beard. I think that's the important. Definitely not Chris.
Obviously, we need to talk about what's important here, right?
He's done his neckline a lot better than I have. I'm too scruffy, so that's the important challenge. Exactly.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I think we're both about equal.
I love it. I love your background right now, Simon, too. That's awesome.
Yeah, I thought I'd get, I'd just, there we go. That's how I'm trading at the moment. So this is my spirit.
You put a long just there, didn't you?
My spirit animal, yeah.
Excellent. Just out of curiosity, guys, tech stocks versus cryptos. What are your thoughts, Tim?
Tech stocks, I think, are, part of the future. I mean, technology is obviously here to stay. There's no doubt about that. As far as crypto, I think I was actually just talking to one of my best friends about this last night, because he's pretty heavy into the crypto space and he doesn't exactly know anything about it. He's just more of, that I want to be in the space. I don't know exactly what it is or what it's going to do, but I just want to make sure I'm in it because it sounds, revolutionary. Like, that's his perspective on it. And I don't 100% disagree with him. I just think until it becomes regulated, a little bit more safe, as far as, people being able to invest their money and not having to worry on the back end of, being hacked and, having their money stolen at any given time. I think until then, it's going to pose a problem, which brings in tech stocks. There's going to be tech out there that is going to combat that. So I think as long as there's always a need for tech, I think there's going to just always be that rise in all. I mean, there's going to be another Tesla, another Apple. Obviously nobody knows what it is, but eventually there will be something that comes onto the scene, does something that no one thought of at this point. It's that circle is always going to happen. And, when it does, I would assume it's going to be some kind of a tech stock. Somebody's going to come up with something crazy. And, everyone right now thinks, what else is there? Well, there's something, it's going to be something. Nobody knows what it is. That's the beauty of the markets And but as far as crypto, I think once that becomes regulated, if it becomes regulated, that is when I think you'll see a little bit more consistency in it. Because I think right now, everyone's like, either crypto is making me a lot of money or it's losing me a lot of money, and there's no stability there. And I think that's kind of the issue with it. So as far as tech versus crypto, if I'm just answering that question, maybe if you're asking like which way would I lean, it would definitely be more towards the tech.
Excellent. Oh, there we go. We've got the scoreboard. Let's have a look. What do we got? Oh, Simon, you are doing quite well. Look at that.
My desperate NASDAQ punt is working out so far. So let's end the stream there.
All right, yeah, let's cut it right
nice little bounce. I'm thinking about adding. How do I do it? No, I'm just kidding.
See, that's that Simon Says strategy.
Simon's over there asking for more leverage. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. I need some more margin. I need more margin than Lehman Brothers.
Simon, I'm going to come to you with that question as well. But before I do, I'm going to just stay with Tim I got one more question for you, Tim, particularly because you are our in-house stock guy today, whereas Simon, you're obviously more indices, right?
Yes.
And so, Tim, where do you get your stock research from?
So I'm actually glad you asked. I'm part of a group. It's called Intensity Stock Watch, and it's a scanner service. And essentially, I pretty much do. I take my kids to school, and by the time I get back, it's about 5 minutes before market open. And I rely heavily on these Intensity Stock Watch scanners because they will find the volatile moves that are happening, the intense moves that are happening. And I essentially look at the scanners, pull the charts up, and then I'll do my quick research. I'll make sure I'm 99.9% short biased. So I'm typically looking for moves that are extending to the upside. Actually, if you want to share my screen, I'll show you one that happened this morning in Moderna. I was watching this one, and we had those highs yesterday. And anytime you see something that's necessarily not moving with the market, that usually means there's something happening, whether it's earnings or some kind of news event. And I believe that this might have been earnings. I'm not sure. Anytime you usually see like some random spike, it's usually either earnings or some kind of news event. But that's typically what I look for. So I'll look for, it'll go off on the scanner, which it did, which is what made me even look at it in the first place. And then I'll start looking for key levels. So yesterday's high was at the open there at 145. And then you'll see like the pre-market highs were a little bit above that. And it even tried to top out there at the market open. But then we get a big move over here. And this is where the scanner will pick it up. It'll pick up that it's intensely moving. And then I typically look for previous resistance areas to be broken and extended away from those areas. And like I said earlier, the faster the move, the weaker the trend. So typically I'm looking for the price action to go essentially straight up. And then I start to look for what I call the jiggle. And that's where the ask is getting hit pretty much nonstop on that move up. And then I'll look for when the ask tends to start to stop and like people start hitting the bid. And then you'll see like the buyers and sellers start to fight. And so the price line, which is this orange line that I have here, you'll see it'll start to jiggle essentially. And that's usually where I'll look to start a short position, looking for the retest of that breakout area. And you'll find right now, I think I'm at like 84% as far as win rate goes. So it happens a lot. And that essentially in a nutshell is my edge. Obviously there's a lot more complexity to it. You can start talking about market cap, short float. You can start talking about all that stuff. But in the end, it all comes down to price action. And that's typically what I look for.
I agree. Definitely. Nice. So did you say 84%?
I could give you an exact number. Let me see. Year to date, I am actually, this is from the beginning of 2021. I'm sitting at 85.06% via Trading Journal, the journal that I take care of. Yeah.
Wow. Drinks on you then, huh?
Yeah, come on over.
Excellent. Simon.
Yeah, I'm up 700% on the sim.
Aren't we all?
Exactly.
Simon, tech stocks versus crypto, my friend. What are your thoughts?
It's interesting, isn't it? Because crypto is quite unique, and it's like, it's the old saying when your hairdresser's talking to you about a stock, when it's time to get out of it type thing, or your barber. It's just you have people who've got no interest in trading asking you about it, and so it's just the unique wide appeal that it does have. I mean, from a practical point of view with crypto, I don't think it's massively simple. I don't understand the utility of it at the moment in terms of paying for things, in terms of been accepted. I appreciate it needs to evolve, and there's been steps like there's a futures market for Bitcoin, etc. But I think it's relatively too complicated. I mean, we had a customer pay us in Bitcoin yesterday because we accept crypto, and I've got no idea where it is. I think it's probably in a similar position to this moon or something, floating around all the different things. It just hasn't arrived yet, and it's the volatility as well. I mean, you do have stable coins, USDT, and things like that, but it's like if you're doing significant business, and it's like, oh, okay, I've taken a $10,000 Bitcoin payment in the morning, and then in the afternoon it's worth 8,000. It's like, so it's not stable enough. So I think a lot of it's built, and particularly all the alternative coins, is probably built on rampant speculation. But then one could argue the same with the tech stocks, how inflated they are. But at least I guess you can sort of look at fundamentals if you're into PE ratios and things like that as well. So I think they both certainly have a place. I mean, I don't profess to be massively knowledgeable about crypto, but from a practical user's point of view, I think it's a little bit fiddly for it to be mastered. Like I said to my mum, pay me in Bitcoin, she wouldn't have, and learn about it. She would really struggle. I'd be like, send me a bank transfer. She wouldn't have a problem. So maybe it's a longer term generational aspect until we can see wide adoption. And, and just from a practical point of view about ranting on, you look at trying to get it linked to a bank account and get it out for businesses. And it's such a pain that it needs to sort of smoothen all those edges and have that wide scale sort of mainstream usability, I think, where people are like, yeah, I'll buy a new car in Bitcoin rather than USD or whatever, because it's as easy. So I think the usability of it certainly needs to improve as much as anything else. This NASDAQ is really doing well now, by the way.
Well done. So tech stocks, yeah? Tech stocks for you.
Yeah, I'd probably take tech stocks over the one. If I was going to look at frequency and long term as well, I'd certainly look at tech stocks. I love the Nasdaq. I think it's one of the best ways to lose money quickly, and it's short of options trading. I think the Nasdaq is fantastic. It's very thin on the futures markets, which is a shame. But yeah, I'm a big fan. Look at that, the Nasdaq absolutely.
Wow. Look at this. Simon says,
lucky over leveraged punt as working a treat
Simon
here.
says strategy strikes again. Look at this.
Yeah, it's quite volatile. Hopefully it can break. It's just on its gap close on the round number, so hopefully we can see a bit of a breakup. I wonder if the European markets are holding the US back.
I would say, is that live update? Because it's currently going down. I'm just saying. No.
Yeah, that was frozen a little bit. it froze at the perfect time.
We're just going to stop it right there, right? We're just there is no more battle after that, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Sell it all.
Yeah.
Well, that's fantastic, guys. Listen, this has been a fantastic battle. Really thoroughly enjoyed it. I hope everyone out there has. Before we go, just tell me a little bit about your charity of choice, please. Tim, why don't you take it away first?
Yeah, sure. I chose St. Jude's. I think ever since I had kids, I have a 4-year-old and almost a 6-year-old. He'll be 6 in a week. And, it kind of changes how you look at life. You go from being very selfish. I wouldn't say everyone's very selfish, but you tend to, you're not worried about anything about, except for your future per se. And then when those kids pop out, it's a whole different story. It's something you didn't know was possible. And to know that St. Jude's is really looking out for kids that, don't have it easy, doing their research on cancer and, just everything that they do over there, taking care of the necessities. It's just something that I care deeply about. And anytime that I could possibly help out, anything to do with kids, I would be there. So that's why I chose St. Jude's.
Fantastic. Beautiful. Thank you. And Simon, your charity of choice, please.
Yeah, so a similar sort of thing. I mean, I'm smart enough not to pass on my genes, so I don't have any children of myself. But I know a wonderful lady called Rose who works with a charity in Uganda who deals with children who've been put through some appalling circumstances that we can all imagine, and they do absolutely fantastic work over there dealing with those types of things. And of course, the US dollar, which we're trading in today, goes a long way to making a significant difference over there. So it's a charity that, fortunately for this trading battle, thank you 8cap, have managed to raise quite a lot of money for before. So hopefully we'll be able to do the same today again. But yeah, wonderful work that's done over there, and proud to be associated with Nest of Joy over in Uganda.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Well, thank you both so much. It's been an absolute pleasure. I hope everyone has enjoyed the battle today. If you like what you see, don't forget to hit the like button and go ahead and subscribe to the trading battle. Until next time, everybody, have a wonderful day. Oh, by the way, the winner will be announced in 5 days' time. So be sure to check back in 5 days' time.
Good luck, Simon.
Thank you. Good luck, Tim. All the best.
Yep, same to you.
Just hope I win.
May the best win, right?